Bradley Beal has been traded away. He is now a member of the Phoenix Suns. But my question to you today is, can the Chicago Bulls now take advantage of the fact that Bradley Beal is no longer on the market? We'll talk about all that and more in today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Let's go. Now, if you are new to the channel, please like the video. Please subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talks. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. So Bradley Beal being traded away to the Phoenix Suns basically for nothing. I mean, the Suns are expected to send Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, multiple second-round picks, and pick swaps to the Wizards. So they're going to be swapping first-round picks in the future. Still don't know on that. Phoenix has no available first rounders to include in the trade. Beal's no trade limited the Wizards marketplace. Deal could take a few days to be finalized. And here's the question. Can the Bulls capitalize off of this in a couple of different ways? Number one, Chris Paul being traded to the Washington Wizards. There is an expectation that Chris Paul would be waived, basically, right? He's not going to be a Wizard. Like that will basically never happen. And the Wizards are kind of holding their horses on this, as reported by Adrian Wojnarowski, because they're trying to see if they can allow a third team to get into the mix to try and trade for Chris Paul so that you're able to get assets back on that. Would you guys want Chris Paul in a Chicago Bulls uniform? It's tough, right? Because realistically, based on everything, yes, Chris Paul would be an asset to the Bulls. The question mark will always be, will he be healthy enough in the playoffs for you to make a deep run? But I look at how Chris Paul helped Devin Booker kind of turn into a winning type of player, not so much becoming the player that he is today. Did he take a step under Chris Paul? 110%, but becoming a winning type of player. And now Devin Booker, right? It seems like he's able to win without Chris Paul on the court, where that wasn't the case seasons before. He also has a much better team under him now. You know what I mean? Like, it helps when you've got the talent of Kevin Durant and now Bradley Beal on your team. But I think that Chris Paul could be, at a minimum, the leader the Chicago Bulls are looking for. He could be that guy who is just the point guard that comes in and facilitates everything and gets everybody in the right position. He's already worked with Billy Donovan. He's been to the playoffs with Billy Donovan. He was one play away. If Shai Gilgeous just read that pass the right way, he's one play away from actually putting that Rockets team out of the playoffs when they were the clear underdog and continuing on in that playoff series. I don't know if he wants to be in Chicago. I don't know if he wants to come back and be a Laker, or if he wants to go back to the Clippers, whatever it is. I'm assuming he probably does want to be on a team that he feels is more of a contender and not a team that he looks at like the Chicago Bulls, who are a 40-win team, where, yeah, can they get to the point where they're a much more competitive team with me? For sure. But do I really want to go there? That's kind of what it comes down to. But realistically, they're waiting to see, the Wizards are waiting to see who would want to trade for Chris Paul. And if they wanted to trade, if the Bulls wanted to trade for Chris Paul, right, if they could figure out or convince him to come here, to want to be here, to want to work with this team, to help this team get over the hump, you can do a lot worse than Chris Paul. Again, the main thing to me is the injury concerns. Let me know in the comments below, would you guys be in on Chris Paul coming to the Chicago Bulls? Should the Bulls trade for him? What would that trade realistically have to look like? Because it's not like the Bulls have a ton of draft capital that they can offer up. I mean, you're probably sending young players back. Do you want to send young players for guys who, at the end of the day, you know, what are you going to get? A year, maybe two out of Chris Paul at most? I don't know if I'd be willing to do that trade. I don't know if I'd be in on that deal, but at the same time, this Bulls team does lack leadership. This Bulls team does lack a legit point guard, and Chris Paul, as far as facilitating and just finding guys open, is a point guard. I wouldn't be mad at seeing him here, but I don't know what I would realistically be okay with giving up to go get Chris Paul, because it would have to probably be players. You're talking about capital, but I think you also now can look at the situation in a couple of different ways. Again, this is how the Bulls can benefit based on Bradley Beal being traded away. Where's Kyle Kuzma going? What's the word on Kyle Kuzma? Could he be somebody that's in the mix now? Like this is a operation that is now in full on nuclear, which the Wizards basically have nothing. They got nothing for this, right? They gave Bradley Beal. They basically just said, where do you want to go? We'll send you there. We'll take whatever we can get back, because it's even being reported that this was a better deal than what the Miami Heat offered, which to me is wild, right? Like, what did the Heat offer? Because this deal is nothing to me. You're getting a player that you're basically not going to use. You're getting Landry Shamet and picks for Bradley Beal. This deal is nothing to me, but that's neither here nor there. But on the flip side of that, right? Like, there were a lot of teams to me that were in on trying to get Bradley Beal. And I think that the real question now is, right, okay, if these teams are no longer in on Bradley Beal, that doesn't mean they're not all in on trying to get the job done. The Miami Heat, to me, are a team that really stood out as apparently going after Bradley Beal, although I don't know what the deal was, but they really didn't want to give up Tyler Hero, right? So what is a deal that the Chicago Bulls could make work where you're not giving up Tyler Hero, and where the Heat aren't giving up Tyler Hero, but you're able to get some compensation that you feel good about? And the deal that I thought, right, kind of looking at ages and, just kind of going for it now, I thought about, is this the time to move on from DeMar DeRozan? To me, you could possibly trade away DeMar DeRozan to the Miami Heat, sending him down there with Jimmy Butler, where I look at that Heat team not as a team that just couldn't knock down threes, but a team that couldn't score in the slightest when it got to that finals game. And I think that one thing that we know about DeMar is he's an absolute assassin. He could come in there, get you a bucket no matter what. He could be that consistent scorer for you. Still got Tyler Hero down there. To me, if the Bulls were to make a trade like this, you trade DeMar to the Miami Heat. We get back Duncan Robinson, who I believe got himself a little bit more confidence, a legitimate shooter coming into the Bulls system, which I would be all for. He's also under contract for the next 3 years for $18 million. So that intrigues me, right? Because the money is much lower. Well, I guess not much lower than DeMar. He makes $10 million less than DeMar, but the money's lower, and you get that shooter. You get a guy that, to me, I thought showed a lot of confidence, got himself back into a good place in the system. Hopefully is able to come here and continue that. I would also say go try and get yourself Caleb Martin, who is 6'5", was a nice role player for them, somebody that you can have confidently coming off your bench, backing up either Zach LaVine. This now also allows you to put P. Will back in his natural spot of being a 3. And I think that could benefit P. Will. I think it elevates him in the you got to get something done now if you're going to have that conversation. So I think that it works in that level. But they would also have to throw in that first round pick for this season, the number 18 overall pick. Now, the question is, right, this is how I always ask these questions. Why would one side do it? Why would the other side do it? For me, the Bulls is the easy one, right? Why would the Bulls make a trade like this? The 18th overall pick in Duncan Robinson. Caleb Martin's a nice piece. He's going to give you whatever he's going to give you. I think that we have a couple of Caleb Martins on our team. But he has been a part of a winning organization. He's been a part of a winning system. I think he'd come in here with a winning mindset. Cool. But the Bulls are trying to get some future capital back. That 18th overall pick for DeMar DeRozan is basically what this trade would kind of come down to. And I would be, for the Bulls side of things, I think that it makes perfect sense. Why would the Miami Heat want to do this, though? And to me, that was the part where it got a little tougher for me, but I could see them doing this because there's just nobody on that team that you can guarantee is going to score. There just isn't. There's nobody that I love what Jimmy Butler did in the playoffs. Playoff Jimmy is a real thing. Playoff Jimmy also, got banged up and wasn't able to do as much as he was, but there was nobody on that team that I looked at and I was like, no, I know that he's going to give me this. I'm going to be honest with you. Even a healthy Tyler Hero, I don't know that Tyler Hero is going to go off from the three-point line. I think he can. I think he played a lot better this season. I think he played with a lot more confidence this season, but I don't know the offense that he's going to give me. I know 210% DeMar DeRozan can go out night in and night out and put up 25 if he wants to. From the mid-range, he's trying to improve this three ball. I don't know if he's going to be able to improve this three ball, but he's trying to improve the three ball. At a minimum, he'll be open. They'll pass him the ball out there. I think that DeMar DeRozan could be the kind of player that the Miami Heat are looking for as far as a scorer goes, a pure scorer, especially after missing out on Bradley Beal, because you're bringing Bradley Beal in. What'd you bring him in for? You were bringing him in to score. You were bringing him in to be the offensive god, basically, on that team, right? And so now you're in the market for another guy. Now, could they be in on Dame? Possibly. I think that they do want to go get Dame, but it seems like they're really reluctant to give up these major pieces. I think this is more of a discount type of piece where DeMar's only making 28 mil over the next year. This is not a lifelong thing. You could re-sign DeMar if you want to. You can move on if it doesn't work out. Do you miss out on a pick? Possibly, but maybe, right? Like maybe there's something where they see a way to build this thing all together. And if anything, right, like I think the Bulls could be able to capitalize off of this deal. Now, again, the question is, are you going with the continuity? Are you going with the run it back thought process? What is the real process here? But with 1 year left on DeMar's deal, you have to start thinking about these decisions seriously, because at a minimum, you're going to be at the trade deadline having this same conversation. Do you want to just have this conversation now during the offseason? To me, I think that could be a real scenario where you could see DeMar DeRozan going down there, helping the offense, helping them trying to score, helping them, right? And they are able to add something to the deal. And they're in more of a position to do more with DeMar right now than the Chicago Bulls are. Again, DeMar comes down there with a clear-cut role. We're still asking the question on this team, right? Who's going to be the number one scorer game in and game out? It wasn't until Pat Bev showed up and said, Zach's taking the shots, that all of a sudden Zach starts taking more shots and actually starts knocking them down and feeling more like himself. It seemed like before that, right, him and DeMar DeRozan just kind of kept having a back and forth about it. But again, I don't know if that's the end all be all answer, but I think that would be a really good option for the Bulls to look at. I think it'd be a good option for the Miami Heat to look at. At the end of the day, I want to know how you guys feel, man. Let me know in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you as well. Do you think the Bulls could move on from DeMar DeRozan? Should the Bulls be looking at Chris Paul as a possible trade target? Let me make sure no new news broke. I got to keep checking this. This be the hard part, bro. Like when you're making a video like this, it'd be like, I'm gonna record this, but sometimes news gonna break mid-vid and I just got to add that in. It doesn't look like anything new broke, so let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. As always, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again to continue watching our Chicago Bulls content. Click the links on the screen or check the links in the description below. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Peace.